I'm Nicola Garda, and my work in broadcasting at the BBC gave me a real passion for the telling of stories. I think being able to connect through something which we all have in common creates a conversation where we can invite everyone to join in, and perhaps then we don't feel so rare after all.
I am Maria Angels Ferrer, and I have also a real passion for stories, hearing them and sharing them in ways that makes us all feel better about ourselves. Besides having an accent from Catalonia, I consider my job to be a detective of preferred stories. Hopefully, this becomes clear as we all listen many different stories.
Hello, and welcome to our 8th episode of our Rare D series. We are still in lockdown here in the UK, so we would like to give a big welcome to our guests from Romania who are joining us via Zoom. Dorica Dan, Ovidiu Damian, and our fellow team member Ramona Moldovan. So thank you very, very much for joining us and for taking the time during these unusual times. But it is great to be able to connect in this way and have the opportunity to share our stories. So Dorica, if we could go to you, that would be great. And it'd be great if you could introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your connection with rare disease.
Yes, my name is Dorica Dan, as you said, and I'm from Zalău, Romania, and I'm involved in the rare disease since my daughter was born, because she has Prader-Willi syndrome. She was very late diagnosed when she was 18, and this is why we consider that we should start an organization for patients with Prader-Willi syndrome in Romania, in order that nobody will confront with the same problem as we did. And they will find, we hope that people will find earlier diagnosis for their children. So we started Romanian Prader-Willi Association in 2003. And at that time, we believe that our daughter is the only patient in Romania with Prader-Willi. But then we found out that is not true. We just didn't know each other and nobody connected us. So then we realized that even if I've been scared to be concentrated only on Prader-Willi syndrome, and in our statute, we are dedicated to Prader-Willi syndrome and other rare genetic diseases, we realized that for the authorities, our voice is not stronger enough. So in 2007, we established the Romanian National Alliance for Rare Diseases.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. And we will go back. We will go back to some of those moments, because I've been reading a lot about, and you're very, very busy. So I want to go back to some of those, but I'll just hand over to my Angels now.
No, I also think we'd be very interested in the rare disease with cancer, rare with cancer, because it's maybe something we've not talked enough or not yet enough here in this podcast. So I'll be very interested. But something you said, it caught my attention, that you said, really, when your daughter was, you kind of discover what happened to your daughter, you said, we consider, and you said we, and I'm very interested in knowing who is this we? Is this you with your daughter? Who is this we together? Who was your team that helped you to move forward to all the things you said you've been doing?
So I considered me and my husband, and our daughter was our member in the organization. So in order to establish an organization, you need 3 people. So we were the 3 people that established the organization. And because it was no choice, I was the president. So I was not the best, but I had the time and I decided to dedicate to this. And so this is how we started. So all the time when I was talking with my colleagues from International Prader-Willi Organization, I used to say that I'm working with Dorica Dan, and when she is tired, I replace her. That is how it happened at the beginning. So
I think that's so interesting. I think that will really resonate with a lot of mums and dads, parents of children with rare conditions, and when they first start to kind of observe that things are different than how they should be, and they want to find an answer, you feel very alone, I imagine, and need that kind of to reach out to other people and to support. And do you think that if you're if your daughter hadn't had Prader-Willi, your life would have navigated itself in quite a different way.
Yes, for sure. For sure. I wouldn't say that my life would be better if we wouldn't have a daughter with Prader-Willi syndrome. I think our life is very rich because we have a daughter with Prader-Willi, and we met a lot of very good and very interesting people around the world. And I think in a way or another, that was our opportunity. It is also that she is still with us. We are not alone, because we also have a son, but he has his own life. And so our daughter is 36 now, and she is living with us. She's very nice, very kind. She's quite well, I would say. And we enjoy to be together. So I think maybe our life would be different, and I would be happy if our daughter life would be different, if she would be healthy. So I would do anything if I could change this, but because we can't, I think in a way or another, we use this as an opportunity to enrich our life and to do well for the community. And I think this is great, because it's an opportunity to meet people, to learn from each other, and to be stronger together.
We don't want to assume that people who are listening, they know what Prader-Willi is, and so it would be interesting to know from you what it is for you particularly. You know, maybe there is a medical definition, but what has been for you in your journey? Yeah.
So Prader-Willi syndrome is a rare genetic disease, and it affects chromosome 15, and because of this, and hypothalamus, and because of this, children with the Prader-Willi syndrome are always hungry. They never feel full, and they are very hypotonic, and because of hypotonia, starving for food, and they are always looking for food, and they become obese, and all the problems associated with obesity. Sometimes it's difficult for some of the patients with rare disease and for the families, because they have behavior problems around the food, but not only around the food, but it's very difficult when it comes with behavior problems, because that is something that isolates the family from the society.
No, I was going to say, you know, when you say behavioral problems, I wonder in your experience whether they are also connected to understanding what that is going through for those children, and whether there wasn't a before and after for you once you knew what your daughter was having in terms of understanding their behaviors or the way they were acting.
I couldn't explain this to others, including my family or our neighbors, and sometimes before I knew what it is, I was ashamed when, for instance, when she was asking about food when we were in society, because none of the other children would do this. So it was difficult, but we
What was the journey like to diagnosis then? Because it sounds like as a mum you recognized things early, as often we do. But from what I read, I think your daughter got a diagnosis at 18. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or was it? So what was the journey like to that diagnosis? Did you have to knock on a lot of doors, or, you know?
Yes. You know, I had polio when I was a child, and because of this, I've been in rehabilitation centers for my entire life. So I knew that she needs rehabilitation when she was born, and I've seen that she is hypotone and she couldn't walk and speak at the right time. So she needed rehabilitation. So we were going to all the doctors that we knew in our city, in Cluj, in Bucharest, all over Romania, until we found a rehabilitation center that really helped her improvement. And so I think I've seen probably over 100 doctors during 18 years, and we had different diagnoses, and finally, in fact, for 10 years, I knew about Prader-Willi, but
Right.
nobody could give us a right diagnosis. So I was attending the Montessori training in Bucharest, and at that training, we had a teacher from Sweden. And she told me, because my daughter had to be with me at that training, and the teacher told me that, I think your daughter has Prader-Willi syndrome.
Mm.
But for me, English was a foreign language. For her, English was a foreign language. So I didn't understand properly the name of the disease. And we had no internet, so I couldn't find the disease. I asked people and doctors around, nobody knew about it. So for many years, I knew about Prader-Willi, and I didn't forget about it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't have someone to tell me, yes, it is Prader-Willi syndrome. And after 10 years, I met an occupational therapist from Australia. She came in our city, and I met her, and suddenly I remember about it. And I asked her, do you know anything about Prader-Willi syndrome? And she said, yes, I work with children with Prader-Willi in my city back in Australia. And she came to our house, and she has seen our daughter, and then she had access to internet. We still didn't have at that time. And it was immediately after revolution in Romania. And she gave me information about Prader-Willi. And when I read, I knew that it is Prader-Willi. And then she found information about the International Prader-Willi Organization. I've written them. And then I've been in contact with International Prader-Willi Organization. I was going in Italy for a conference about Prader-Willi. And then we had the genetic testing in Italy. So that was our journey to the diagnosis.
It's quite a journey.
It is fascinating to hear that, you go back to this that we is a lot of people behind behind that we. So you started to be discovering things almost by accident, but you also were very persistent in not forgetting the name. And it's nice that you mentioned the context. The revolution was there, so things were not as straightforward as they can be now. And we shouldn't forget that you navigated not only the system and the illness, but also the politics of the place and the moment. So thank you for saying that.
And it's interesting to think this wasn't too long ago. My husband has a similar story. He has achondroplasia, and he was born in Denmark. And when he was born, they didn't diagnose him, but his mum would kind of hold him up and close her eyes, and she would have visions of achondroplasia. She kind of knew she'd seen somebody that had this condition when she was younger, and he's 40 now. And then it was one doctor, the same thing, one connection, one doctor that diagnosed him. And then a small article in a newspaper that connected her with other families with the condition of her son. And I just think those connections that happen at the right time, or sometimes the wrong time, can really kind of navigate the journey then that you have as a parent. I think that's really interesting.
It's nice that you're saying that, Nick, because I kind of see you persistent about being a mother and not giving up. Maybe we need to kind of not forget the fathers also, that they might be in the picture somewhere.
Definitely. So obviously Team Dan, which you guys were together and you wanted to kind of fight for the best future, I guess, for your daughter. So what was your motivation in extending that out to other people and kind of the start of a project or an organization? How did that come about?
So after receiving this diagnosis in Italy, we decided to start an association in Romania and look for the other patients. And we organized events and participated to the events organized by doctors and doctors' associations to promote Prader-Willi syndrome. And this is how we came in contact with other families at the beginning. And this is how we built our organization. So we have opened a Center for Information about Rare Genetic Diseases, and in 2006. And then we organized the first International Prader-Willi Conference in Cluj in 2007. And then we established the Romanian National Alliance for Rare Disease and came in contact with EURORDIS. And I became member of the board of EURORDIS. And then we started to work on a national plan for rare disease in Romania. in 2008, and to promote about rare disease, information about rare disease, but also to start organizing the services.
Had you had any had you started organizations before or projects, or did you have any background in this in terms of any, were you just motivated by your daughter?
Yes, because I was working from immediately after revolution. I registered my daughter and myself in an association for disabled people in our city. So I worked for that association, and in that association I learned how to write projects. So I did financial part of the projects in that organization for until 2006. And during that time, I attended a lot of training courses. So, but this is how we could do it.
What I read from you is that you call these flat leadership. Is this
flat leadership? Yes.
Yeah.
Because
can you say a little bit more?
Is a way of promoting everybody in the team to say their word and to promote propose projects and to work together as a team. So I think that each in our team is equal. So this is how we work.
And why do you think it's so important for the patients? It seems like a really obvious question, I know, but for some of our listeners, why is it so important for the patients to have a voice?
I think it's important for the patient to have a voice because it's important that their needs are recognized, because the needs of patients with rare disease are very unique, and they have a lot of challenges. And if their voice is not heard, nobody can understand. People can't understand why a patient with rare disease has so many obstacles, and they reach to the diagnosis very, very late. And why is it? Why is the social impact so high in the family? And why do they struggle to find the right services at the right time? Because it's very difficult. And you know, sometimes patients are calling on our helpline and ask for a doctor for their disease, which is not possible. Usually it's not possible because there are no doctors for each rare disease. But this is why it's a relationship for a long-term relationship with the doctors in rare disease, because the patients need to have someone that they can address all their questions. So.
You were saying something about cancer. How would that be a good time for you to tell us a bit the connection between rare disease and cancer and what you're doing at the moment?
So in 2007, my mom had a rare cancer, and I realized that how vulnerable and how isolated are these patients in hospital, but also at home, and how they believe in everything. So anybody would come to the hospital to promote a product or to speak about, to pray for something. They needed this. They need support for this, but I didn't know how to do this and how to help her. So I decided that we will do something for rare cancer, because the journey for a rare cancer patient is the same as in rare diseases.
And I think that that lived experience that you have, Dorica, from the perspective of a mother and also then a daughter, obviously with your mum. And obviously you seem to be doing a lot to motivate and support other people. And I just wondered, first of all, where you get your support from, or what you get your support from, and secondly, what keeps you motivated?
Yeah, I think my support comes from my family, and I wouldn't insist, but also my husband was diagnosed with a rare disease a few years ago, but he's okay also. So, but we are working together. We are together in this, and we are supporting each other. And I think we became stronger because of this. And my motivation comes from our center, because in our center we have every day 60 children with rare diseases. And when I see them and I know that our impact influence their quality of life and their families, I think that I can continue, because I have this duty to continue. And I'm happy to see them, that they are growing and they become more independent, and they are better, and families are content. Even now with the COVID, because we can't do therapy in the center and we had to stop, we continue to do it online and on phone, and support parents. So we created teams with the parents in order to continue our intervention. So this is what is motivating me.
That moves us on nicely.
We had some questions about that you really just now answered to us. This, which is connected to the COVID. How is the COVID-19 shaping things in the organization, and whether you've been learning new ways of responding to families?
Yeah. So I was traveling a lot because of my apartments to Eurordis and the things that I'm involved in, also at national level. But now I feel more connected with my team, because we have meetings every day at 11. And we continue to do this therapy online. And now we are preparing an online platform for therapy. And we think we can extend our services to those that can, because we can't have in the center more than 60 children. And we can expand our services. And we also meet the national organization members, and we could see which are the problems that they are encounter. So we are trying now to support their home care, because some of the patients, like cancer patients, but also other kind of rare diseases like Gaucher, Fabry, they were scared to do their treatment in hospital, and the national authorities allow them now during COVID time to do their treatment at home. But the home care have to be organized in Romania. So now we are organizing this and try to support them with how to do their infusion in time and not to delay their treatment.
We hope you are enjoying the podcast so far. Please subscribe, rate, and review. Continue to follow our conversations, where we discover that rare means different things to different people.
I hope that the digital e-health will continue after COVID also. Yeah. And we will be able to do this in a better manner, and that the national authorities will recognize it, and the use of these tools, and will integrate them into national programs for health. But also during this time we had big challenges at international level, I think, because some of the guidelines were against patients with rare diseases and against people with disabilities, in order to have access to respiratory tools in hospitals. And I think this is something that we should address even after COVID, because I would like that it will never happen again, because nobody proved that the patients with a rare disease have less chances to resist to COVID than a young person or somebody else, because he is healthy. So I think these kind of things need a special attention after COVID.
And I think it's really drawn a spotlight to that, hasn't it? I'm not part of this, but many of my friends or people that I am aware from other communities have in the UK have almost received a letter which to them is in writing, and it's kind of saying to them, this is how they interpret it. I'm not necessarily saying it's written with this intention, but how they interpret it is my life is worth less than everybody else's, and it's not as important. And that's during this really difficult time, which I heard a really good saying the other day, which is that we're all in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat. And I think that's really interesting, because a lot of people are kind of doing a blanket, oh, we're all in the same boat now. We know what it's like to have a rare disease or a rare condition, because we know what it's like to not have things accessible for us. But it's actually, no, you don't. You know the same storm, but we're all in a different boat trying to navigate that storm. And I think it's going to be really interesting moving forward how we alter those kind of that thinking and those mistakes that have been made around, even if it's just communication mistakes, it still makes people not feel as important as other people, or their life is worth less.
So this is almost one of the discoveries of a global discovery of the effects of COVID. And I'm curious about, Dorica, whether you find some little discovery or big discovery in your own personal life around this COVID time, a skill that you notice that you have that you didn't realize you had, in terms of anything that you need to deal since the COVID-19 has been around. You notice anything especially different?
So I discovered that I can play with my daughter.
Oh, wow, I like that.
For a long time. So
for a long time, that's even more clear.
I have no time, but
yeah.
this time I discovered that we can.
Do you like that? Have you enjoyed
I like
it?
it very much. Yeah, I like to be at home, to be honest, and I don't suffer that I don't have to go out for the moment, but I think it will come soon. And the life shouldn't be like this. But I enjoy to be home, to be honest, and I think I needed this. And I discovered that as a team we are stronger than I believed. And when we had to decide that some of us will have to use the technical unemployment way of surviving during this period, nobody complained, and we did it in a very flat manner. So we are all in the same boat. We work, even those who are in unemployment, technical unemployment, they are every day at the meetings and contribute and do therapy with the patients. So they continued even if we can't pay them as we did before. So I'm also in unemployment, technical unemployment.
Thank you. And I think I'm aware of time, so I'm not sure if you had any more questions, Mary-Angels.
No, I don't know whether there was any more question about.
I was going to ask about rare. Basically,
go for it.
We ask each of our guests when they think of the word rare, what is kind of an image or another word or something that springs to mind that for them represents the word rare through their experience in life, or just almost anything that comes to mind when you think of the word rare. And I wondered, Dorica, whether you had anything in mind.
Yeah. So I think rare is treasure. I think this is how I associate the word rare with treasure or jewel, rare jewel. Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you. Perfect.
Thank you. And thanks so much for sharing with us. And it's been really interesting. We could talk for a lot longer. And hopefully we will one day when we can all get back to traveling again. We might all meet up. But I think I'll hand over to Mary-Angels now, and she's going to kind of talk us through the next part of the podcast and the conversation where we can be introduced to our other guests.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dorica.
Thank you very much. So I think, is it okay if I start with you, Ovidiu, that you've been quietly listening here?
Sure.
So I would like to ask you whether there was any particular word that you heard from Dorica that talked to you about something that seems to be very important to her, or that she gives value and it caught your attention in a particular way. I'm sure there are many things, but if you could choose one or two, what would that be?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I'm very happy to see her and hear her again, because I had the chance to meet her some time ago. I visited Neuro Center in Zalău, and I know about the great work she's doing there. And listening to her today, it was another confirmation that unfortunately Romania is in most of the cases the country having the social services made by parents, you know. And even in this situation now with COVID-19, we see again that they are struggling to offer the activities, the therapies to the patients they have. On the other hand, yesterday I've heard, in my opinion, an irresponsible declaration from the Ministry of Work and the Social Protection in Romania. They said that the help coming nowadays from the NGOs is something like fragile, she said, a word similar to this. And I would like to ask Dorica, how is it for them? What kind of help they've got economically? Because it's very, very difficult. She mentioned that she cut off her salary, and they were forced to do a lot of cuttings now. And what's the situation economically? Because I think that's another lesson that we can learn from COVID situation, to protect the NGOs, that they are doing the work the state, the authorities should do, right?
Ovidiu, let's ask her later. I really like her to answer to you that, but before that, would it be okay if we can continue a little bit with you? Because
of course,
you said you have a connection with Dorica, and you said that what a big thing that stayed with you is this understanding of I like the way you put it, social services made by parents in Romania. And
I've seen a lot of examples like this.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of examples through my job, through my TV broadcast. I'm doing many NGOs, many initiatives are made by mothers, by fathers, by parents.
Is there any image that comes to your mind when you think about a country that is that has a social service, or you know, it could be an example for many people that they think they don't know what to do, how to start. But you imagine these parents, mothers and fathers, being almost making the social services, creating it. And is there an image that comes to your mind that would kind of represent that? Let's be creative here.
Yes, of course. I thought about those days, and it comes to my mind resilience. It comes to my mind positivity. I was talking with a mother, another mother from Cluj, having 3 children with autism, and she said to me, this lockdown that all the people are experiencing so badly, for us it's something not that unusual, because people are scared about COVID-19 because they don't know what it is and how it's going to manifest. Well, I've seen this movie, she told me, when I've got the diagnosis, or I didn't have a diagnosis for my child. Then you are locked down in your houses. Well, it's something that we've seen already in our lives, because you know, disability always comes, or in many cases it's coming with isolation. The parents are let's say concerned about the fact that the children are not going to school. Imagine how it is for us during the summer holiday when we have to stay at home with those children. So they see the situation in a very positive way, and they are not thinking about what we cannot do, but what we can do in order to make this experience, let's say, more enjoyable, more.
So in a way, I don't know, I really like this bleak of image that you said that this mother was telling you. We have seen this movie, so I can imagine like Dorica being the protagonist of a movie that we now are in, and we don't know how to do things, so we can learn about this protagonist of movies, or this first, did we say protagonist, Nick, in English? Yeah, the protagonist. You know, this is my Spanish jumping. So I kind of like this image that you're giving it, and I'm wondering how this resonates with you personally, or in connection to the work that you do. Like if in the work you're doing, you are also telling people or reminding people that this movie is been you know, filmed before, so it's not the first time we're going through these movies. There are people who are very experts or knowledgeable. Is this or something else? How this connects with you?
The greatest connection, in my opinion, is it happens when telling those kind of stories to the general public. I've seen initiatives coming and being motivated from this. For example, I had a report on a center, like Dorica said earlier, the story of her beginnings and doing this center, and after that, just simply a lady from the other part of the country just wrote to us and said, you know what, I also have a little child with Down syndrome. My boy has Down syndrome. I never thought that I would be able to run an NGO, but seeing this report, I started, and now I want to let you know that the NGO is already running, and we are offering activities and stuff. So this kind of stories that motivates the others, I think, are the greatest connection. And I want to say another thing again, in terms of positivity regarding COVID-19. The NGOs are already used to work with just few resources. They are used not to have enough money, not to have enough specialists, not to have, so in this situation, I think they can adapt easier, and they can, you see, the authorities sometimes are still stuck in decisions, in activities, but the NGOs are doing activities. They didn't let their beneficiaries behind, or not closing the door and that's it. We'll see you on the next
finish.
Exactly, on the other side of the curve, like I saw this joke.
Ovidiu, I know you hear lots of stories. You said that quite similar, but what was one thing, or even a small part of one thing, that in the conversation with Dorica today might stay with you for the next few days and months? What would you think, would you want to say to us? What is the thing that will stay with you?
I think this interesting journey that she said, and the special people, the special meetings she had first with this therapist in the Montessori training in Bucharest. I mean, she was going for the training with Oana. Am I right, Dorica? It's Oana, the name of your daughter that I've met in Neuro Center. So she was for that training with Oana in Bucharest, and then when the medicine in Romania had no answer for her, someone just passed by and she said, this brother Willie, right? Years after, she meets this, she met this lady coming from Australia, and then the connection was made as well. It's kind of magic. As she said, it's rare, and it means has a lot of value, and it's the magic of life in this.
So you want to remember that?
Yes, definitely.
That fits with you, Ovidiu?
Yes,
magic?
Definitely. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll come back at the end for everybody, but is it okay if I continue with you, Ramona?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So you also been listening to the conversation, and I'm just wondering whether there was, out of the many things that you appreciate or like it, what one thing that you might want to share with us?
Well, there are so many things, and over the last probably more than 10 years since I've followed Dorica's work, I've been inspired by so many of the things she did, and my becoming, I think, professionally and personally, has been touched by her work in more than one way. But probably from what she said today, I think what stayed with me the most was her description of her daughter. She was our opportunity to enrich our life.
This is what she said. Can you say it again?
Yes, she was our opportunity to enrich our life.
That's really
So I wrote that down the second she said it, because I thought it's quite a powerful thing to say, I think, even when looking backwards, because sometimes you don't really know why and how things happen to you. And as Ovidiu said, sometimes it's just serendipity or it's just magic, and you don't know how two apparently random events actually meet and go together to make your life so much more meaningful or rich.
Is there an image that comes with this beautiful sentence? She was our opportunity to enrich our life.
I think some of the things that were said today by Dorica and Ovidiu, to me, what I think of is like a big family reunion. It can be a dinner or a party or a barbecue or a wedding, but a big family reunion that actually makes things happen. It makes the world move forward, because sometimes that's the drive behind some of our work or our initiatives. That's our motivation. This is what makes you, I don't know, wake up in the morning and gives you strength to push boundaries and to try harder and to do more.
So this big family reunion, I'm going to play with you a little bit. So where do you see Dorica in that? Is she the person who's opening the house in the family reunion? Is she the one who organized the invitations. What do you see Dorica doing in that?
I think Dorica is the host.
The host?
Of this huge family reunion where she invites everyone and everyone's welcome and everyone has their chance to feel part of that family and get encouragement and a pat of the shoulder, glass of wine too at the end. I think it's that support that I have felt, I think Ovidiu too, and so many other colleagues have felt over the last few years when working with or along Dorica. And I think probably one of my memories before we even met, so that was like, I don't know, more than 10 years ago. And I remember after my training in Manchester and trying to find some of the families impacted by rare conditions in Romania, particularly Huntington's disease, so I started speaking to some of my colleagues, like neurologists and psychologists and geneticists, but mainly academia, because that was my background. And I thought, like, these were my colleagues, so I was talking to them. And everyone, with no exceptions, like, have you met Dorica Dan? I said, no, I haven't yet. I really need to speak to her. And then I tried another colleague, and everyone, like, it was unanimous, like, have you met Dorica Dan? You need to speak with her. And mind you, there weren't family members or organizations or charities or anything like that. They were head of departments. There were just key people we used to work with, and everyone pointed in the same direction. So this is the partnership. This is the party you have to go to. That makes sense. That's the family reunion you need to join, because this is where everything happens. And Dorica mentioned that earlier, and it's absolutely true. The rare community in Romania is very close to academia, I think, and clinics. So that's why I hope I'm not wrong by saying this, but it's the voice is stronger, I think, when you have the support.
I wanted to give back the voice to Dorica, if that's okay. And you've been listening very careful. And I'm just wondering, what would you take out of hearing what they've been saying about you and your project?
So thank you very much for the nice words. And I hope that the future will bring us together face to face and discuss what can we do together in the future, because I think the most important thing is how to plan the future and how to be together with those who have the same vision with us and have a positive impact in society. And I think you are a great team to go further. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And do you think you can answer a video or respond to what? Yeah.
So it was no surprise that I've seen this posting, but there is an answer coming from the NGOs to her. You know, there is a Facebook page that is called Help a Ministry. And the explanation is that she doesn't know what is happening and what the NGOs are doing. And each NGO is posting what they do for community during this time. But there is an answer to
I just checked the page now on Facebook, and great.
We're gonna all check that.
It's a great answer, so I can't provide a better answer. So this is great.
It's even with sense of humor, isn't it?
Of course. Thank you very much, Dorica.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think thank you everyone. I think that was a really great conversation, and so great to meet you and be connected. And hopefully, even if we connect again online, we can do this again and bring everyone together. So thank you for sharing your stories and where you're up to at the moment in life. And it's been a real pleasure. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And it was very nice to be with you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. And thank you, Ramona. Thank you, Ovidiu. Thank you all.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. It was such a pleasure to have Dorica and Ovidiu on this episode, joining from Romania. Not being able to meet face to face has actually encouraged us to connect even more online with amazing guests all over the world. We hope you enjoy our rare international episodes. It will be great to hear from you and continue this conversation on Twitter @WithWorkGroup or on our website ready.com. Thank you for listening.
This podcast has been made possible by our brilliant team.
Rona McLeod,
Ramona Moldovan,
Jay Roach,
Marianjas Ferrer,
Nicola Garda,
Fiona Oof,
Nick Jordan.